As soon as the Howies were settled in the Chen's apartment, Eurodora invited us down to dinner. "Do I have to go?" I asked Mom. "Yes." "Can't you tell them I have a stomachache or something?" "No." "Can I go home for the second I am done eating, because I have a lot of homework?" "You can go home as soon as the table is cleared," Mom said, "as long as you're polite about it." "I'll be very polite. You wouldn't believe how polite I can be when I want to be polite. I'll be so polite." "Okay, Peter," Mom said. "I get your point." At the dinner table, the talk turned to Halloween. Fudge said, "Minnie can trick or treat with me." "We're taking him," Flora said. "We've always been curious about Halloween," Fauna said. "Well, all this talk about Halloween," Howie asked. "You know how I feel about candy." "We don't care about the," Fauna began. "Candy," Flora said. "We're interested in the cultural event," Fauna said. "We want to observe," Flora said. "As part of our studies," Fauna said. Mom told Cousin Howie how safe it is to trick or treat in our building. We know all the neighbors. Eudora said it might be educational for them to experience Halloween one time, Howie. Cousin Howie drummed his fingers on the table. His eyebrows crept together. After a while he said, "All right, but just this one time. And no candy. Candy will rot your teeth." "You don't have to worry about candy, Daddy," the Natural Beauties said together. I was beginning to see how this worked. Cousin Howie said no to everything. The Natural Beauties begged and pleaded, and Eurodora was usually on their side. She had to present the case very carefully. Almost always, the Natural Beauties almost got their way in the end. "What's Vinny going to be for Halloween?" Fudge asked. "He's going to be a," Flora began. "Tiger," Fauna said. Minnie growled. "Or maybe a," Flora began again. "Lion," Fauna said. Minnie growled louder this time. "I know," Flora said. "He wants to be a manatee," Fauna guessed, sure she got it right this time. "No," Minnie shouted, surprising everyone. "Edgoff." "Edgoff," Flora said. "What's an Edgoff?" "It's me," Fudge told them. "Minnie wants to be me for Halloween." "You," the Natural Beauty said at the same time. "Yes," Fudge told them. "Yellow off Rose wants to be Edgoff Muriel." "Does anybody know what's going on here?" Howie asked. "I do," Eurodora said, "and it makes perfect sense." On Halloween night, the Natural Beauties brought Minnie up to our apartment. Fudge was already dressed as a miser in a white shirt, a pair of red suspenders, and his money tie from the Bureau of Printing and Engraving. He carried his pouch of shredded money in one hand, and in the other his trick-or-treat bag. Mom had another white shirt ready for Minnie, along with a second pair of red suspenders. Since there was only one money tie, Mom let Fudge decorate an old green tie of Dad's. He drew dollar signs with wings all over it. Mom plunked a men's hat on each of their heads. Then she snapped photos of the two of them, the miser and his double. The doorbell rang. It was Melissa Beth Miller from downstairs. She was carrying her cat in a basket. Fuzzball was wearing a pointy black hat. "He's my wizard," she said, "and I'm Hermione from—" "Don't say it out loud," Fudge shouted. "Don't worry," Melissa said. "I never say his name out loud." "Whose name?" Flora asked. "Never mind," I told him. This was all getting to be too much for me. "Okay, Pete, let's go," Fudge said. "Go?" I asked. "Yeah, you're taking me and Melissa." "Wait a minute, I thought you were going with Flora and Fauna." "No, they're taking Minnie." "We couldn't possibly be responsible for more than one child," Fauna said, "because we'll be busy taking notes for our report on the cultural event," Flora told me. "Daddy says we each have to write 3 pages," Fauna said. "Single-spaced," Flora added in case I still didn't get it. Okay, I said. "Let's just go and get this over with." We all took the elevator to the 16th floor and started working our way down. At every apartment, the Natural Beauties sang a few lines from their collection of New York songs: East Side, West Side, 42nd Street, Give My Regards to Broadway, Manhattan. The neighbors loved it. They tried to shower the Natural Beauties with candy, but they politely refused. On the 6th floor, we met up with Olivia Osterman, who was just coming out of her apartment. She was wearing a long red cape. "I'm going to a party," she said, holding a feathered bird mask in front of her face. "You look like Uncle Feather, except you're the wrong color," Fudge told her. "I'm a nightingale, not a minna," Mrs. Osterman said as she pressed the button for the elevator. The Goldens, who also lived on 6, opened their door. Mr. and Mrs. Golden and their daughter Gina were all wearing fright wigs. "Happy Halloween," they sang together. They had vampire teeth in their mouths. Minnie growled at them. Before the Natural Beauties could get out 2 notes, the Goldens' poodle started barking at Fuzzball. Fuzzball leaped out of the basket and ran for his life, straight into the Goldens' apartment. "Fuzzball, come back here," Melissa called, chasing him. Mrs. Golden ran after Melissa, and Gina ran after Mrs. Golden. Mr. Golden just stood there in his fright wig and vampire teeth, holding the bowl of candy bars. "How many?" Fudge asked. "How many what?" Mr. Golden said. "Candies," Fudge said. "How many can I take?" "How about 1?" Mr. Golden said. How about 2? Fudge asked. Okay, Mr. Golden said, 2. Minnie doesn't have a bag, Fudge told Mr. Golden, so I'll take 2 for him. Mr. Golden said, 4 candy bars is a lot of candy. Not really, Fudge argued, because you said I could take 2. Besides, Peter, Flora, and Fauna aren't taking any, so it's a real bargain. He reached into the bowl again. But I better take 2 for Melissa in case she forgets. What are you, an entrepreneur? Mr. Golden asked. No, I'm a miser. He pointed to Minnie, and he's my double. Edgoff, Minnie said. Mr. Golden just shook his head. Melissa couldn't find Fuzzball anywhere in the apartment. Mrs. Golden asked me and the Natural Beauties to help look for him. I don't know how long it took to find Fuzzball, but I know it was too long. Way too long, because by the time we found him on top of a stack of towels in the bathroom closet, Fudge and Minnie were nowhere in sight. Did you see them leave? I asked Mr. Golden, who was offering the bowl of candy to another group of kids. Who? Mr. Golden asked. The misers, I told him. When he looked blank, I added, the little kids in red suspenders. Oh, they left a long time ago. This is bad news, Flora cried. We're going to be in so much trouble, Fauna said. What'll we do? They asked together. First we'll take Melissa home, I said, taking charge. But I'm not done trick-or-treating, Melissa said. Maybe you're not, but your cat is, I told her. He's not my cat, he's my wizard. Either way, it's a time for him to go home. I pressed the button for the elevator, then we waited, and waited, and waited. Finally I said, come on, we'll take the stairs. I led them down the back stairway. We met other groups of trick-or-treaters along the way. One of the fathers said, Woo, these stairs are tough going. Another one muttered something about the new elevator. Yeah, I know, I told him. We waited on 6, but it never came. Probably all those trick-or-treaters, he said. In the lobby, a group of neighbors had gathered around the video monitor. Henry, I said, you haven't by any chance seen? He pointed to the monitor. I looked at the screen, but it was so dark you had to look really carefully to see anything. You could just make out somebody sitting on a bench, waving a pencil flashlight. Wait a minute, was that a bird mask? The light moved and landed on Minnie's face. What's going on? I asked Henry. They're stuck between floors, Henry said. Oh no, the Natural Beauties cried. The light moved again and caught the control panel. You could see a small hand, then part of a face. It was Fudge. Can't you do anything? I asked. Shush, Henry said. He's trying to use the intercom. This is Edgoff, Mariel, Yelroff, Rose, and Avilio Veruschka, Fudge said in a small voice. Avilio, I thought. Then I realized Avilio, spelled backwards, is Olivia. So it was Olivia Osterman. This elevator won't go anywhere, Fudge said. It won't go up and it won't go down. And besides that, it's dark in here, and hot. A buzz went through the group around the monitor. Quiet, please, Henry called. Then he pressed his talk button. And are you all right, Mrs. O? Can you breathe? She looks like a bird breather with her mask, Fudge said. Can you get us out of here, Mrs. Osterman asked very politely. Halloween comes just once a year, you know, and who knows where I'll be from a year from now. Help us is on the way, Henry said. Will it be the fire department, Mrs. Osterman asked. I've always wanted to be rescued by one of those handsome young men. They should be here any minute, Henry said, along with the elevator maintenance crew. Don't worry, Fudge said. We're not hungry. We still have 47 candy bars to go. Yum, Minnie said as we could see him eating one. The Natural Beauties asked Henry if they could talk to Minnie. Henry pressed his talk button. Minnie, it's Flora and Fauna. We love you. Don't be scared. He's not scared, Fudge said. Nobody's scared. We're going to sing now, Mrs. Osterman announced. You can listen in our special song. The 3 of them began to sing the tune of Forever Jocks. Edgar Muriel, Edgoff Muriel, Yellroff Rose, Yellroff Rose, Avilia Versustra, touch your nose or your toes. Word about the elevator spread through the building. Mom and Dad heard it from one of the trick-or-treaters who came to their door. They ran down all the 12 flights of stairs. Howie and Eudora heard it at about the same time. Cousin Howie pushed through the crowd, which had grown. I'll take charge now, Henry. I'm a park ranger. I know what to do in case of emergencies. Sorry, Cousin H, Henry said, but in this case I'm in charge, and I've turned this operation over to the fire department and the emergency elevator maintenance team. They're on the scene now. How long have you been trapped in the elevator, Dad asked. Close to 40 minutes, Henry said. Oh, Eudora moaned. Water, Mom called. Somebody bring her a glass of water. And she helped Eudora to a chair. I want to talk to my son, Dad said. Sure thing, Mr. H. Henry put Dad on the intercom.